Hey, so this is my video on how to bake my bread. I know there are so many of these videos out there, so it's not really necessary, but it was fun to create, and so here we go. First, I take 1 kilogram of flour. It can be any flour, it doesn't really matter. All purpose is fine, or bread flour, whatever you have on hand. And then I add 3 teaspoons of yeast. The other day I only added 1 teaspoon and that worked as well, but for this video I just wanted to play it safe and use 3 teaspoons. And then I use 3 teaspoons of salt and mix it very thoroughly with a wooden spoon before then adding the water. Yeah, so you might have noticed that that the last teaspoon of salt was only halfway full. That was a mistake. I think 3 teaspoons of salt tastes better, but as you can see, you can definitely play around with that. So now I'm adding 800 milliliters of water and start mixing. You could also add all of the water at the same time, but I just wasn't completely sure if I really wanted to use all of those 800 milliliters. But it turned out to be just the right amount. It was pretty perfect. So and then now I keep mixing until no dry clumps remain. It takes probably 2 to 3 minutes. Stir. And then now the dough has this pretty good consistency, as you can see here. I'm now switching to a scraper so that I can clean the wooden spoon and the bowl, because otherwise cleaning is a nightmare, as everybody knows. I'm going to cover the bowl with a dish towel and let it sit for about 10 minutes. I'm going to stretch and fold the dough after those 10 minutes. I'm not sure if it really is necessary. It feels a little bit like hocus pocus, but I used to just give it a stir at this point, but then yeah, I kind of like this stretch and fold. It is fun. So I'm made my fingers wet so that the dough doesn't stick to my fingers that much, and then I just stretch. Here I have to re-wet my fingers. So I stretch and fold it over about 4 times, giving the bowl a quarter turn after each stretch. And then I'm covering it again with the dish towel, and this time I leave it undisturbed for several hours. It can be 3 hours, 4, 5, 6. I think in this case it was about 5 hours. That gives the gluten enough time to really develop nicely. Sometimes you have to go back every now and then and punch it down a little so that it stays in the bowl, especially in the summer or when you used more yeast. So this is the dough after about 5 hours, as I said. It is nice and bubbly. I want to really keep those bubbles, so I'm careful not to handle it too much. I'm definitely not stirring it anymore. I'm taking about 1/3 of the dough and sliding it out onto my floured surface. I'm using the scraper to cut the dough off against the edge of the bowl. And then I'm going to form what I call the baguette. Yeah, as you can see, I don't really dare to touch it at first because it's so sticky. But once you get the flour on it, it's fine. So I really like this rustic shape. It doesn't have to be perfect for me. Now what I do, I'm twisting it. That gives the baguette a great consistency in my opinion. And it also helps it keep its shape. Make sure that it's covered in flour, at least if you like floured baguette like I do. So I'm baking 2 loaves today, so I'm taking out another third. And then the rest of it will go in the fridge for another day. It keeps very well in the fridge for several days, and it's great to have it as a backup for anything, even pizza. Another great way to do this is to put the bowl in the fridge overnight after the stretch and fold. So that way you can really get a fresh baguette within half an hour of taking it out of the fridge. Sometimes I even do that before school in the morning. So in the meantime, I'm preheating the oven to 480 degrees Fahrenheit. And I should add that I had to go back to the dough pieces while I was preheating the oven, and I tucked the edges under a bit to keep it in shape. It was spreading quite a bit. So here I'm pouring hot water in a small pan that I preheated with the oven. This creates the steam that we need to get a nice crust. Again, the oven is 480 degrees Fahrenheit hot. So in addition, I'm using a little spray bottle to create even more steam. This is what I'm doing here. After 12 minutes, I'm taking the pan out and I reduce the temperature to 450 degrees. And I bake it for another 5 minutes. And there it is. I'll let it sit for about 15 minutes to cool and then enjoy it.